Rachel Spekman, a veteran of coaching professionals, helps those who are unfulfilled by their careers identify how to tap into their unique potential. After 15 years in marketing brands, 10 years helping startup founders, and 5 years as a therapist, she has helped hundreds of people to reinvent themselves and their careers. In today's episode, we discuss making intentional choices and how Rachel checks in with herself. She also provides some useful reads. And what do you do when an idea? Great for children and adults. Also, meaning work. And the 3 C's: contributing, challenge, and community. And if you're interested in a one-time consult with Rachel, connect with her at rachelspekman.com. That's SPEKMAN. Again, rachelspekman.com/high stakes career audit. Now let's get to the show. Welcome to She Leads Boldly, the podcast for faith-driven women navigating high-stakes leadership without compromising what matters most. I am Sharika Sanders, your host, mentor, and kingdom business leader. Here, we embrace bold leadership rooted in purpose, not pressure. This space is for the woman who refuses to choose between faith and ambition, family and fulfillment, impact and rest. Each week, you'll hear powerful conversations, practical strategies, and spirit-led wisdom to help you advocate for yourself, lead with integrity, and rise without burnout. If you're ready to lead boldly, live faithfully, and never settle for less than what God has promised, you're in the right place. Thank you for being here, Rachel. And I'm pausing because I feel like we're going to have a very insightful conversation, a very necessary conversation, and maybe even relieve some of our listeners of some internal conflict that they may have been having here recently, just based on how they show up and where they show up. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, so we were talking and you were called to make a transition in your career. And I don't want to say late in life because that makes it seem like, one foot in the grave type situation. But, you'd had an established career and you were called to go a different path. And I would love to hear more about that for our listeners and for women who are like, I've been in this place. Should I stay in this place because this is where I've been, even though my calling is for somewhere completely different?
Okay, so I'm Rachel. I know we did the intro, but I'm the founder of Made for More Coaching. And really what I do is I work with people to move them from soul drained to soul aligned in their careers and hopefully throughout their entire lives. That's what I do. And I do that because that's where I've been. And that's what I was experiencing. And so my story is that I was in the corporate world. I was in the startup world. I live in Boston. It's a very active, competitive, I'm going to say kind of cutthroat, rigorous environment. And I was loving it. I was at every event. I was tweeting everything. I was getting on all the, socials, blah, blah. And I was crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to try to have a family. And that was crushing me because it was not working. I went through a long and painful fertility journey to have my 2 children. And it really brought me to my knees emotionally, spiritually, vocationally as well. And when I did, I will spare some of those details, but when I finally did have my first child, and I feel very blessed to be able to even say that,
Yes.
I went back to work and I was like, this is not it.
Yeah.
This is not it. Something has shifted. And I outran that feeling for several months because who am I to say? I have a mortgage. Now I have a child. I have all these constraints.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in our economy, you're lucky to have a job. I mean, all of the messaging that we get.
Right.
And I sat with that for a long time. And then I couldn't outrun that feeling. And I tried.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great kids book that I recommend to grown-ups and kids, and it's called What Do You Do with an Idea?
Mm.
And it's about this little idea that's following you. Hey, what about me? I'm over here. And this character tries to dim it, and it gets
Yeah.
brighter and brighter, right? And
Oh,
so
wow.
it's a beautiful book. And so what happened with me is I ended up finding a career coach and a wonderful therapist. And basically we worked together, and I realized I want to be doing something radically different than what I'm doing. So what I was doing was I was helping businesses scale and market themselves and
Mm-hmm.
budgets and all kinds of things. And I said, I want to be working with human beings. That's what I want to be at the center of my work, not a spreadsheet, not a project management tool. I mean, I can do all of those, but that's not what I want to
Mm-hmm.
be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made the largest adult calculated risk of my life, which coincided with the pandemic. Honestly, I don't know if I would have made the choice without the pandemic, to be
Yeah.
honest. It kind of
Yeah.
was forced upon me as it was for many of us. And I left my senior director position and went full time to social work school and became an intern. And
Wow.
the ego goes on a journey, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh, yes, I would imagine. And just to and I'll let you finish with your story, but it's hit so close to home. So my background is in corporate accounting. And when you talk about the spreadsheets and the stress and the hours on end, and the pay was great, the bonuses were amazing, and it was highly stressful, but I'm like, but that's par for the course. This is what comes with it, and I'm used to it. And so this is what I do. And same for me, but the fulfillment wasn't there anymore. And coincidentally, mine started around COVID, but I was like, I've probably been with this company too long. I just need to go to a different company. And then when it still didn't shift anything with that, I was like, what is happening here?
Mhm.
But, now to work with, be a mentor to women of faith, it's like, I never would have imagined. And I would even say when I first started in my business, I was not doing this. I started out still working with companies and doing accounting because it was like, you have all of this accounting experience. Why would you not use that? Like, are you crazy? What do you mean you're not doing accounting? And I really, really struggled. So, and I know we're not the only one. So yeah, I would love to hear how you went from there to where you are now, but you're already resonating with my spirit, with my soul.
Thank you. I feel the same way, and as I share with you in the pre-call, I mean, I was actually thinking about becoming a rabbi at that time. I'm Jewish, and I felt very connected to my Jewish faith at that time,
Yeah.
unexpectedly so. But
Yeah.
we do return to faith or spirit or community when when we're forced to, or when we need
Mm-hmm.
that support, when we need that kind
Mm-hmm.
of prayer. And so I really looked into that, and then I realized, kind of like you said, I don't want to do what I'm doing, but I don't want to manage the politics of being what I thought was that kind of position. I
Right.
just, that was not what I wanted to be doing. What I wanted to be doing was this soul connected work with people.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, how do I get paid to do soul connected work with them? What does that mean? And
Uh-huh.
then I was very lucky, and I was coached away from being a therapist by my family. We could talk about the taboo around mental health that families bring to it and those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
things. And so I had to really do that digging deep work around, well, what do I want? What do I want to do? And what you just said around, let me go to another company. I never imagined I would be a career coach. Are you kidding me? I was the most lost in my career. I mean, truly, I was, and I call it very
Mm-hmm.
asymmetrical. I was
Mm-hmm.
out giving presentations, I was giving keynotes, but inside I was feeling so lost.
Yeah.
And I often work with people who, the career that looks good on paper but doesn't feel good inside.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do help people do now is I help them first realize what's out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And we do it in three different ways, which is, I like to always give people tangible skills for who are listening.
Yes.
So are your skills out of alignment? Are you using skills that you're good at, but you don't enjoy using?
Mm,
Are your values out of alignment?
yeah.
Where, I mean, I used to joke with a client that this client would say she would walk into the building and her soul would leave her body.
Oh my goodness.
And when she walked out of the turnstile at the end of the day, her soul returned to her because the values were so misaligned.
Mm-hmm.
So are your values
Wow.
aligned? And are you curious about what you're working on?
Yeah.
When you look at a small child and they're curious about this rock and they're curious about that tree, and how do we have that kind of wonder in a different way? Oh, I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
about global warming. I'm curious about faith. I'm curious about how people connect with each other.
Yeah.
And so that audit of those three is generally what helps people make what I call a small, medium, or large change in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
Started to make a
I
small change, and then you were like, nope, I need a medium, I need a large change.
yeah. Yeah. I think that's so specialized, but also very much needed because there are people who may term themselves as career coach, but it's normally how do you get a promotion in what you're already doing? But to speak to that person, because it's more common than we think, who's saying, this doesn't fulfill me anymore. This isn't where I feel like I'm called to be. And then struggling with their experience versus their calling. And even the fear of popular opinion, because you know everyone has one and they will so freely give it, whether you want it or not.
Doesn't matter your faith or your background or your location. You could be on the moon and someone's giving you their unsolicited advice. Go ahead.
Exactly. Exactly. And they're going to give it, especially when you have, a family or kids, like you don't think about that. Oh, what about those kids? And you're completely, starting all over and your salary won't be the same, all these different things. Like, so you think you thought more about my household than I did? Like what? And so I really appreciate you for what you do because it's something that so many people shy away from and they're living on the outside what appears to be a successful life, happy, prosperous, all of these things. And on the inside, they're drained, they're tired, they're unfulfilled, unhappy. And it seeps out in little ways and in little things. And they're getting to that point, that breaking point, because it's like, what do I do? And I love the recommendation for that book. I'm going to make sure that in addition to your contact information that is tagged in the show notes, because I think that is something we all need to figure out. Like, what do I do? Where do I go from here? And so where did you go from there?
Right. So what I did, and what I recommend, people who are listening, if this is resonating, or just if you know somebody who's struggling, one of the first questions I ask people right now, even on the intake before we were working together, is I say, what percent happy are you in your career? You're the numbers first, and you'll like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say most people find me when they're between 20 and 40% happy.
Mm.
I just literally did a call with somebody yesterday who's like 6% happy, and she has a very senior title somewhere. I work with men too, but I keep referencing female clients. And
Yeah.
one of the, so I will ask them, would you live in a house that's 70% falling apart?
Mm.
Would you stay in a marriage that's 70% falling apart? No, at that
Mm.
house, you would say, let me work on this corner. Let me do this thing. Let me
Mm-hmm.
hire a person. Same thing with your marriage. You would say, we need some help or we need
Mm-hmm.
extra help, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say the goal is 80%. I wish you could be 100% aligned 100% of the time. That's not realistic, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But 80%, but people say 80%. I said, we're not going to get there overnight. You're going to go from 20% to
Yeah.
25%. You're
Yeah.
going to go from 25 to 30. Then you might
Mm-hmm.
go back to 28%. I mean, this is just,
Mm.
right? You think about cleaning your house. It's
Yep.
one room and then it might get messier and then it gets clean. It's the same approach with that methodology and that deep belief and faith in self.
Yeah.
And that's one of the top things that I think I bring as a mental health provider, which is the anxiety recognition, permission seeking, I mean, we could talk imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
Whose
Yeah.
voices are you listening to? I say, who's on your team? And I don't mean your team at this company. I mean, who is on your team?
Mm-hmm.
Because happiness is the I mean, happiness and joy. What are people going to say? No, you shouldn't be joyful. Like that is, success is the best revenge. Internal success is the best because
Yes.
then you're feeling aligned with what you're doing. I had all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of, I literally had people say, "Are you well?" when I said I was leaving my big job too,
Yeah.
because
Those opinions. Yeah.
those opinions. Are you well? I asked for a recommendation from a former boss, and he said, "I'm really worried about you and your family, everything you're talking about." And no, I mean, they had my best intention in mind, but they were
Right.
bringing their stuff to it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also, I mean, we can't not talk about this. I mean, you're the accountant. These are financial decisions, so you need that kind of financial infrastructure or
Mm-hmm.
support. And I
Mm-hmm.
recommend everybody who's working with me or who wants to make a career change, I can't with the money. Okay, well, do you know how much you're making? Do you know where your money's going?
Yeah.
Do you know what expenses you could cut? Because we
Right.
don't want to be in, I don't love the term golden handcuffs, but we don't want to be in that position where our money is managing us. We have to be,
Yes.
and this is where I also speak to the mental health of being in relationship with your money. I'm working on it too.
Yes.
I grew
Yep.
up in a fear-based home around money and scarcity and those kinds of things, even though we were
Mm-hmm.
fine. So the money messages that we bring into our lives and of course our careers is huge to unpack. So anyway, that kind of is a longer answer, but I started working with an accountant. I started working with my coach. Oh, that was the other thing. I started interviewing all kinds of people. What's your salary? What's your hardest day? What's your best day? And then I just started gathering data from real human beings.
Yeah. I love that approach. And because to me, that was faith in action. That was, I'm called to do something, but I'm still going to go about this in with decency and in order. So I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to do the research. I'm going to find the help and support that I need that can help me to bridge from this place to wherever my next place may be. Because sometimes we do have the people who say, you know what, I'm called to do this. I know it'll work out. Forget what everybody says. And they jump in full speed ahead. They move forward full speed ahead. And then it's like, well, why isn't well, what I thought it, I thought it, but why isn't? And they're so confused
Mm-hmm.
about why things aren't working. But did you take those necessary steps ahead of time? Did you do the research? Did you seek counsel? Did you all of these things? That was something I did too when I first started in entrepreneurship. I went on LinkedIn and I found people who were in a similar space because, again, I knew that it was working with people and with women specifically, but there was that it has to be accounting related though. It has to be accounting. But I'm like, there's, that yearning still didn't go away. But I reached out to other women who were doing something very similar on LinkedIn and connected with them and say, hey, do you mind if I just pick your brain for, 15, 20 minutes? Like you said, how do you do what you do and what is your background and how did you make the transition and all of these things. And I was pleasantly surprised because there were so many people, and these are people I didn't know. There were so many women who were more than happy to take that time and help me navigate. They told me about systems that they were using, or hey, you have this, but this is free, so try that one. It was so many things. And so I just think you work with a market that really hasn't been tapped into because we're told we're being selfish when we choose to go the route that's different from where we've been. And when we make a decision based on what we know is with on the inside versus what everybody else around us is telling us to do. Leaving corporate, I left cold turkey. I didn't do let me slowly start my business and then and not that I'm recommending that for anyone, but that was just what I knew for me needed to
Mm-hmm.
happen in order to fully devote myself to this next stage in life. Because I knew that for me, I'm saying that just for listening, for me, if I stayed in that corporate space, the amount of hours that I worked every week and the amount of commitment and the calls and all the things, I know that my focus would have stayed there. And this would have been nothing more than a possible side hobby. And so I love that you give that guidance. And realistically speaking, you're 80% happy. That's amazing, because I think if a lot of us just take a pause right now and do a self check and say, how happy am I just right now with life? You may be 100% about a situation, but when you consider overall everything that's happening right now, it probably won't be that. And kudos to you if it is and more. But I just think that's so amazing how you're truly walking in your purpose and found a way to align something that you're great at with, what you're called to do. Hey, sis, can we pause for a quick moment? If you've been feeling that tug to go deeper, to become the wife God actually called you to be, not just the one the world expects, I have something special for you. Join me on January 10th, 2026 for Becoming Her, the Wife God Called, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a day designed for ambitious, faith-filled wives and moms and wives in waiting to reconnect with God's pace, surrounded by powerful speakers, luxury gift bags, amazing food, and a sisterhood that gets it. Tickets are just $50, but seats are limited, and trust me, they'll go fast. And if you're a brand or business that believes in empowering women of faith, there are sponsorship opportunities available too. So don't wait. Head to Transform the Gap, that's GAAP.com, click events to grab your ticket or learn more about partnering with us. Now let's get back to today's episode.
Let me say I'm still finding it because I
Yeah.
just went on my own 2 months ago.
Mm,
I just finished all my hours to become a private therapist. And so I said, okay, I'm a private therapist. Well, I had been growing my career coaching business, which kind of happened actually out of nowhere. People started reaching out to me. How did you
mm-hmm,
seem so right? Because then we have the abundance and then we have all of that.
mm-hmm.
And I'm still like, am I a career coach? Am I a therapist? Am I a strategist? I teach a university class. Am I a teacher? And then we say we have to be one. We have to be one, right? No, we're the
No,
amalgamation,
yeah,
and I'm still figuring out my system. So I'm one of those coaches that's pretty. I'm not going to go to you with my stuff, but I'm going to level set and say when we think we've arrived, when we think we've
yeah,
surrendered, we're going to keep surrendering, right? We're going to keep
yes,
arriving. We're going to keep
yes.
growing and changing, and and I think the idea of what I heard you sort of say about when you walked away, your this is what happens when people come to me often. Their
Mm-hmm,
mental health has taken a toll, their
mm-hmm,
physical health, their
mm-hmm.
relationships. It's almost like going to a chiropractor. Your whole body's out of alignment, and it's like,
Yep,
whoa, what is happening? This hip
yeah,
bone's over here, and right. And so we have to do that work to realign.
mm-hmm,
And some like kind of a really quick exercise I would give everyone to do right now. And I try to do it, I do
yeah,
this for myself, which is if you think about your day-to-day job right now
mm-hmm,
and you pull out your job description or you pull out how you use the last week, grab an Excel and write down what the task is and what percent of time you're using that.
mm.
And then next to that column, write down what percent you enjoy that.
Oh, wow. Now that's the shocking part.
That's the audit right there. So
Uh-huh.
I'm just making it up. I do budgeting 40% of my day. I like it 5%.
Yeah.
Okay, well then we have a 35% gap to solve. Now we
Yeah.
can start to get much more micro around what are the parts of your day, components. Maybe it's 80% childcare and you don't want to be driving or you don't want to be whatever it is. So, and it's not okay, I'm gonna never drive my kids again. I'm not gonna do all these things
Right.
and never do
Right.
a budget again. It's where am I out of alignment? And
Mm-hmm.
then you can color code that. I mean, I work with people to color code it. I do one-time consults too, like green, yellow, red. Okay, how do we do more green? What do we have to
Mm-hmm.
delegate, etc. So that's kind of that real turning inwards and looking at, because right, our daily habits is are basically our life. I mean, overall.
Right. Right.
And what you said earlier, one other thing I want to react to, this comes from another book that I do recommend. You could put in this. It's called Meaningful Work. It's actually written for managers about how they create meaningful communities for their employees. But I referenced what they have, the three C's, which is we generally feel that we are creating impact when we have three C's going on.
Mm-hmm.
One is we're contributing in a way that
Mm-hmm.
feels meaningful. Second is that we're challenged in a way that we want to be challenged. It's the right size, the right fit kind of challenge. And the third is we're doing it in community or creating community as we do it.
Yeah. I I like that. And so not only is this alignment with your career, your purpose, your path, and all the things, but it's also time management. It's also delegation
Mm-hmm.
because you may be
Mm-hmm.
in that person who you're like, you may be that person who's like, I'm overwhelmed. I no longer want to be in marketing and this is too much and all the things. And if they were to take this exercise and say, these are my tasks, this is the amount of time that it takes me, and then how much do I enjoy it? And then looking at the list and looking at those gaps and say, maybe this is something I can delegate to someone else. Or maybe this is something that a service I can hire out so I don't have to do it, because that in itself gives the freedom as well. And then you go through that exercise and look and you're like, so was it my career, or was it just me not really doing the things that I needed to do to care for myself and to manage my time correctly and really prioritize the people and things that are important to me? And so I feel like there's a holistic approach and what you do and really helping people to understand it's not just about, oh, I want to go from here to here, but let's truly look from the inside out. What is it that really makes me happy? And am I really doing something that is for me versus what other people think I should be doing, whether now or in my next, phase in life? So I think just already you've given some great tips and tools and things to try, and I am excited for what is to come. I know you said your business is still fairly young, but obviously you've been doing the work and you've been doing the work on you. And I appreciate you for saying that as well, because we are ever evolving. And I firmly believe every coach needs a coach, every therapist needs a therapist. Like it's community. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's community. And we're all
Mm-hmm.
building each other up and helping each other out. When you get to the point where you think I'm done or I know all the things, that's probably when you really need to seek some guidance quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Right, exactly. And how can it be focused? This is my work too. Like, how can it be growth oriented, not suffering oriented? Or how can it be
Yes.
curious and not like shaming and all these, these contrasts? Because you're so right. I always think like of Dr. Maya Angelou, when we know better, we do better. So we're all
Hmm.
growing and changing and we're all trying to know better so that we can do better.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we close out, there's another something that you said, and I'll definitely give you time to speak to that, but I thought it was profound and definitely worth the mention. And it is give yourself permission to follow that pull. It's not just ambition, it's divine direction.
Mm.
I appreciate that because we do get in the, oh, I'm being greedy. I want too much. Who said I had to have all of that? I've already
Mhm.
had this successful career. Who am I to want another successful career in life? Who am I that God would call on me to do something? And so I really want or implore everyone, what do you do with an idea? This is the name of the book, yes?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with an
It's a
idea?
children's book. It is a children's book.
Which means we should all be able to understand it at our very so even better, because it's something that we should be able to teach. If we can teach our children now these things that we're learning, we're preparing them for as they approach life, as they
Mm-hmm.
approach friendships, and whatever ventures they go on in life, knowing that it's okay to change your mind. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to realize that, you know what, this person or this thing no longer serves me, and it's time to move to something else. And so I feel like these are just some life lessons that you've
Mm-hmm.
imparted on us, that you've allowed us to kind of open our minds and start thinking a little bit more freely about where we are and if we're really in the right place, whether that's in our career or in our personal lives or friendships, whatever the case may be. So thank you so much for that, Rachel. I truly appreciate it. And congratulations to you on all the things and being almost complete with your certification. And I'm just excited for what God has in store for you.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Yes. And we don't say bye, but until next time.
Until next time. I love that. Thank you.
Hey, friend, if this episode stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe to She Leads Boldly so you never miss an episode. And let's stay connected. Join our growing community of faith-driven powerhouse women where you'll find real talk, encouragement, and tools to fuel your journey. Oh, and I've created something special just for the bold, faith-driven women like you. An ebook, When You Know His Name. Discover identity, intimacy, and the power of prayer through the names of God. This ebook is designed to equip and encourage you to lead with clarity, courage, and conviction in every space God assigns you to. Available now on Amazon. And if you're ready for deeper clarity, I would love to personally walk with you. I offer a one-on-one session called Your Path to Purpose and Power, and it's to help you break through the overwhelm and realign with what God is actually calling you to in this season. Whether it's burnout, boundaries, or fresh vision, you don't have to figure it out alone. All links are in the show notes. Oh, and one last thing. I would love to hear from you. What questions are you carrying this season? What topics would serve your walk, your work, your womanhood right now? Send me a message or an email because this podcast is for you, and I want every episode to speak directly to where you are. Remember, you don't have to choose between your faith, your family, and the calling on your life. God's grace makes room for it all. So until next time, stay anchored in purpose, covered in grace, and always ready to rise. Talk soon, friend.